Hello everyone, this is Tom from the company VoIP Supply, and we're here today with Grandstream. We're going to go over some of their UCM6300 series IP PBXs, which are taking over the UCM6200 series of PBXs. We have a few members from the Grandstream team here, Danny Lynn, Chris Dow, and Hugh Hint. If you have any questions, feel free to put them down in our Q&A feature. Down in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, you'll see a little bubble with a Q in it, and we will address all questions at the end of the webinar. So as I said, I'm with VoIP Supply, and we're co-hosting today with Grandstream. Some of our reseller benefits when you sign up as a Grandstream reseller, just a reseller with VoIP Supply in general. We do have our VoIP rental program. Hardware and provisioning and fulfillment kind of go together hand in hand. We can get you into our fulfillment program if you have a steady flow of orders going week to week with a easily usable API for you to keep your transactions going fluid. And also we have our provisioning side of things, which in those orders or even just on one-off orders, we can pre-configure any and all hardware to have it get on site to your customers, blind shipped, ready to go, plug and play. We also have our refresh and reclaim programs, which are a good way to save and make money. So our reclaim process goes as our Mike Rahak, our reclaim manager, would send you a quotation on what we would give you for whatever type of hardware you have that you're looking to get rid of. We can cut you a check on that, or also give you just that store credit toward new equipment if that's what you were looking to do. And our refresh product is a stock refurbished product, comes with a full year warranty right through VoIP Supply, fully tested and made sure that it's in a proper working function. Everything is A stock, as I said, so looks like basically new condition and totally certified by VoIP Supply. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our friends over here at Grandstream, and they are going to go through the new UCM6300 series of PBXs.
Thanks, Tom. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Danny Lynn with Grandstream Networks. And as Tom mentioned, we're just going to go over a really brief technical overview and sneak peek of our new 6300 series, followed by a couple of other nifty things that we'll discuss later in the presentation. So first off, what is the 6300 series? And as Tom mentioned, it is the successor to the ever popular 6200 series, pretty much bigger, badder, and faster than the previous generation. There is a sleek and modern redesign with a bright LCD and capacitive touch keys for navigation. And what we're seeing is also a huge increase in capacity and performance, pretty much against the previous generation 6208. We're seeing up to 6 times more increase in capacity. The 6300 has a higher focus on collaboration, especially in the video conferencing space, and we'll talk a little bit more about what this means later in the presentation. The free GS Wave application is still supported on the 6300 series, but now has been renamed to Wavelight in the Play Store or iOS App Store. There's going to be another Wave application that's available in the App Store with a new set of features. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about that later. One of the main highlights of the 6300 series is the introduction of the UCM Remote Connect service, which is our cloud SBC/NAT traversal service. Other key things to note is the addition of high availability built into the entire 6300 line. For those of you who are familiar with our high availability products, previously it's only supported on the UCM 6510. So now we've included that functionality across the whole 6300 line. We've also upgraded the previous Asterisk 13 to Asterisk 16, which improves the core API functionality of the unit and increases the ability to interrupt and develop special applications for whatever projects that you might have. So as Thomas Edison once said, to simulate the evolution and growth of anything, one must increase in size and speed. I'm just kidding, that's not Thomas Edison. But it's kind of true. Pretty much here in this very neatly drawn table is a visual breakdown of the increased capacity of each 6300. The smallest model on the left side, you can see that it supports up to 500 users, 75 concurrent calls, which is on par with the previous generation 6204. So pretty much with the smallest and cheapest model, you can pretty much outperform the 6204. The remaining 6300 models, which no surprisingly, will also easily outperform any older generation UCM. So if you take a look on the 6308's extension and call capacity, we're seeing an increase in over 500% compared to the previous generation. I don't have a slide for the 6208, but just take my word, it's about 500, 600%. The UCM 6300 series now offers symmetric FXO and FXS interfaces. Now previously all 6200 models would only have 2 FXS ports, and these FXS ports are typically used for analog handsets, fax machines, things like that, and followed by the number of FXO ports, which is denoted by the last digit in the model name. So 6208 would have 8 FXO ports and still 2 FXS ports. So in the 6300 series, what we've done this time is we've added the additional FXS ports that match up with the corresponding FXO ports. So this means your UCM 6308 has 8 FXS ports and 8 FXO ports. And the FXS ports would be useful in scenarios where a business or an organization has not fully cut over to VoIP handsets, either because the infrastructure doesn't allow it, or they want to preserve their prehistoric ways or something like that. So like I mentioned, the UCM 6300 series offers the symmetric number of FXS and FXO ports, and here's a visual representation of what you might expect to see on the back of the device. So first on top, you'll see the 6301, which has 1 FXO port and 1 FXS port, all the way down to the UCM 6308, which you can see has the 8x8 number of ports. Other notable changes between the two series, the 6301 and the 6302 above, is that those will have a plastic mold, and usually these can be wall mounted or just left on a table or a desktop somewhere. And the larger, higher density UCMs will feature a metal chassis, which usually you'll have these rack mounted in your server room or anything like that. And the higher density UCMs also have PSU redundancy capabilities. You can see on the 2 larger models, you'll see the 2 power ports there next to the network ports. So this is a comparison between what I think at least would be the 2 most popular models to help you guys visualize the performance gain and key hardware changes. So we'll have the 6202 on the left side and the 6302 on the right side, and you can see pretty much what you're getting or what's increasing over the features on the left hand side across the generations. So a couple of key things to note. The max number of concurrent calls increases 3-fold. So you can see we're seeing the maximum supported number of calls on the 6202 to be 50, and that increases all the way to 150. The number of audio bridges increases to 8 and up to a total of 150 participants. That's an increase in about 6 times its capacity compared to the previous generation. This is probably one of my favorite changes. It's probably not a big deal to a lot of you, but as an engineer, I plug things and unplug things all the time. And the 6302 has 2 PoE capable ports. So previously in the old generation, only the LAN port was PoE, so you'd have to plug your PoE cable into the LAN port. Now I can just blindly reach behind the 6302 and just plug it into any of the network ports and it'll turn on. So that's pretty cool shortcut for me, at least. Again, probably not too important to the rest of you guys. So as I mentioned earlier, the 6300 series puts a huge emphasis on collaboration by allowing the UCM to become the central component that facilitates video and audio conferencing. What this means is that the UCM comes with a built-in conferencing platform that operates similarly to our existing IP Video Talk platform at no additional cost. Video conferencing is supported through WebRTC, which now we call it Grandstream Wave Desktop. And again, this is not to be confused with Grandstream Wave Mobile or Grandstream Wave Lite Mobile. So other SIP conferencing endpoints are still supported, such as the GAC or GVC, as well as pretty much any other SIP-based endpoint. So if you can call, if you have a SIP-based endpoint, you could just call into the bridge. It doesn't really matter what type of device it is. And of course, our existing conferencing line is still supported on the UCM. So on the new 6300, the UCM supports up to 8 video conference bridges and up to 70 participants on the largest model. Audio conference capacity increases up to 300 participants across 25 audio-only bridges. Now, comparatively to the 6208, the previous generation, that one only supports a max of 32 participants across 6 bridges. So you can see pretty much a huge increase in the number of participants that you can have in an audio bridge and video bridge compared to previous generation. So as I mentioned, the 6300 conferencing platform is still supported by all Grandstream endpoints. Video capabilities will, of course, be limited to those devices with cameras. However, other devices can still communicate in the bridge as audio-only participants. Other Grandstream devices such as the HT800s or maybe even older HT700s and the DP Deck series, you can still join the UCM bridge, but they're not included in this image because only the cool kids were invited. So here's a sneak peek of our new desktop WebRTC platform, GS Wave Desktop. Again, I'm going to say this 10 times. This is not to be confused with Wavelight or the Grandstream Wave mobile app. The client's application in this situation will just be your browser. So supported platforms would be Firefox, Chrome, or Edge, but you know, no one uses Edge anymore. So if you're the minority who hasn't switched yet, we're going to make fun of you when you ask for help. So for those of you familiar with our cloud video conferencing platform, IP Video Talk, you can expect a very similar experience, but with slight added call control functions. And for those of you who are not familiar with IP Video Talk, shame on you, and visit www.ipvideotalk.com and give our free account a try. So here's another representation of what you would expect to see in a video conference bridge on the UCM. I got to say, there's nothing like receiving direct eye contact through a computer screen from people who, in this day and age, are probably not wearing pants from the waist down. So like IP Video Talk, you will have the ability to see who's participating in the conference, as well as a chat panel on the side there. So again, pretty much what you're seeing now, if you're watching this webinar. Very similar with a couple of color changes and whatnot to make it seem like it's new. Users can also dial contacts in real time and schedule future meetings without dropping or interrupting the current video feed. So Grandstream Wave, the mobile application before the 6300 series, was our Android and iOS SIP soft client. Again, this has now been changed to Wavelight. So the previous GS Wave changed to Wavelight. So if you do a search on your mobile phone's app store, you would see two editions of Grandstream Wave, as you can see by the image on the left-hand side. The easiest way to tell which edition is which is Wavelight has the lighter application icon. Get it? Wavelight, lighter. Anyway, the new Grandstream Wave application, however, is not just a SIP soft client, but it's also going to be a conferencing application that lets you schedule and view your currently scheduled meetings without necessarily being in front of a computer. So pretty much in terms of functionality, the new Grandstream Wave, not Wavelight, has all the capabilities of the previous generation for Wavelight, but with the added conferencing functionality. So one of the services that we're most excited about to launch alongside with the 6300 series is the UCM Remote Connect service. UCM RC is a cloud-based NAT traversal service. So in short, what this allows you to do is it allows your remote workers to communicate with each other without having to deal with port forwarding, opening ports, or messing around with firewalls. And the service itself will securely allow media to traverse private networks. So UCM Remote Connect, when paired with our free cloud provisioning service, GDMS, will allow system integrators or administrators to remotely access UCMs through GDMS to perform maintenance or troubleshoot deployed devices in real time. So essentially what you can do is you log into GDMS, there's a tunneling button there, and it brings you to the, tunnels you into the web UI of the UCM itself, and you can do whatever it is you need to do as if you were there on site. You can even perform backups and firmware upgrades directly from the GDMS interface without even logging into the UCM. So there's a huge list of what's to come with regards to the feature set and plans, service plans with the new Remote Connect service. But we're gonna play hard to get for now, and we're gonna cover the service more comprehensively when the launch time comes, so we can have a more solidified list of information to give you guys and how the plans will break down and whatnot. So like I said, it was a pretty brief technical overview of what's changed across the new 6300 series, followed by a couple of changes we made to the Grandstream Wave product line, as well as covering a little sneak peek of the UCM Remote Connect service. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and leave the room open for any questions and answers that you guys may have. So just to wrap up, in short, for anybody who fell asleep during the presentation, why should you be interested in the 6300? Well, it's faster, has more things you can plug into, and it looks pretty cool. So thanks, everybody.
Yeah, Danny, we do have a couple questions that came in here. So how about pricing? Is there any info on this? Is it going to be in line with the 6200 series, or is it going to be a bit more expensive than the older series?
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, the pricing is gonna be on par with the existing 6200 series. So it's pretty much in line with that. And that kind of goes in line with the next question in terms of how it works compared to the previous iterations. You're basically paying roughly the same amount for, like Danny said, anywhere from 5 to 10 times our capacity.
Okay, cool. And then I got a question here. Does the new app only work with the 6300 series?
The new app will the new app only works with the new 6300 series when it's paired alongside the Remote Connect service. So the Wavelight application will work on both platforms without any service.
Great. And then when will the 6300 series be released and be available for purchase?
I think we're aiming around October timeframe right now. So I'd say probably middle of October is a fair assessment.
Great, it's coming quick.
Yeah, it'll be here at any time, guys.
And a couple of questions in the Q&A section. I'll just address them live. Andrew asked if the UCM Cloud Connect service allows users to connect without needing port forward. Yes, that's essentially what it's doing. It's just doing that part for you. And Robert asked if the GDMS will manage older 6200 series. Currently, there's no plan to support the older generation, most likely because the previous generation's hardware is not up to par with what we're doing with the 6300 series at this time.
All right, and I had a question from Greg here. Asked what remote control options are available?
I'm not exactly sure what is being referred to by remote control options. I assume you might be talking about how to remotely control the UCM itself. If that's the case, then, as I mentioned in the presentation, once you log into GDMS, there's going to be a pretty much a button that's just going to log you directly into the UCM itself. I mean, we do have GDMS as a mobile application, so I guess cell phone would technically be an option as well, or a tablet. Hopefully that answers your question.
And another question from Robert here. Will the Cloud Connect allow handsets to remotely connect?
Yes. So right now we're still making changes, but eventually all of our SIP endpoints will pretty much be able to connect to the Remote Connect service and make calls back and forth without dealing with any kind of network changes.
And Troy, to answer your question, yes, the webinar will be available. It is being recorded, so it will be available for viewing after we end here. So you will have that available for you. Got another question here. Will the 6300 series still have an API?
Yes, pretty much the previous Asterisk 13 API is pretty much getting upgraded all the way to Asterisk 16. So full API, you can refer to the Asterisk wiki to see what options you have available. But pretty much we have the entire package.
Great.
Sean had a question: is Wave desktop soft phone free? Yes, the Wave. Grandstream Desktop Wave is supported on the 6200 as well as the 6300. So obviously with, you can still use Wave Desktop whether you have the Remote Connect service or not. But if the user is remote from the office, then obviously that wouldn't work. But nonetheless, Grandstream Wave Desktop is still technically free.
Right, and Troy asks, will there be any more feature software releases for the 6200 series?
The 6200 series are still in production, and we're still producing updates for the foreseeable future. And even when the time comes where the 6300 is still released or is released, we're still going to be releasing security patches and whatnot. So obviously new things like feature requests for the older generation are probably going to slow down a bit, but as far as any critical patches, those will still continue as planned.
Perfect. Got another question here. Will the Remote Connect service handle the NAT for SIP trunks?
I don't believe so. The Remote Connect service pretty much just creates the tunnel directly to the PBX itself. So whatever the PBX does from that point on is really on the customer prem network to handle.
And then as far as, there was a follow-up question to when they're going to be released. And David is asking if all models are going to be released in October, or will it just be some of the models?
That's a good question. I would assume it's probably all of them, but I'll have to double check on that one.
The 01 and 02 for sure. The 04, excuse me, the 04 and 08, we might have a week or two delay, but the last I heard, we were going to try to launch all of them by mid to late October.
Perfect. Okay, so I think we have addressed all the questions to this point. Oh, James just typed in, will a desktop Wave app support Windows, Mac, Linux?
Yes, James, the Wave, I guess it's a little misleading when we call it an application. It pretty much runs off of your browser. So if you have a UCM handy right now, or you've installed one, you can easily log into the main login page, and there's going to be a hyperlink that says Grandstream Wave on it. If you click that, it's going to redirect you to the landing page of Grandstream Wave desktop. So it's not necessarily an app on its own. It's just what we've called it now.
Okay. And I got another question here. Are they able to acquire a unit to get an early start working with them? I guess basically asking if there's going to be demo units available prior to release.
That's probably something that we can.
Yeah, I doubt it. We already have some back orders of these things. I'm not going to have any to give out if I wanted to.
Okay.
I mean,
fortunately,
our engineers barely have one each of our own, so probably unlikely.
yeah. Fortunately, our insiders have been testing the unit for quite some time now. So, I think for all those that want to get advanced units, try to sign up for our insider program. That's how you can get one ahead of time. I know David's on this call. He's had his unit for some time now.
And another question is here, how would these appliances handle failover?
The failover pretty much works the same way as the 6510 plus HA combo. So for anybody who's familiar with that setup, it's pretty much the exact same thing.
Cool. Got that.
Robert asked if there was any change to the UI for management for the 6200. Are you just talking about the UI when logging into the 6200, or are you talking about when coupled with GDMS? I mean, it's kind of a subjective question depending on what firmware you came from, but as far as I know, we haven't changed the UI in several iterations.
Okay, and I did have a question here as well. Is the Connect service sold directly from Grandstream, or resellers can get it from VoIP Supply and resell it?
Hugh, do you happen to know that that answer?
Yeah, I think right now the current plan is to actually have the Remote Connect service free of charge for testing. It'll basically be on in beta phase from the time of its release up until about early next year. Once everything is being used and getting more adopted, we'll have some paid plans available, which can then be resold through the channel.
Okay. All right, and Greg asks, will the 6300 appliances handle the push issue with the iOS related to the iOS devices going to sleep after a period of time when the GS Wave is not being used?
Yeah, I just went ahead and typed out the answer directly below.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, yeah, I saw that. Okay. All right. And does anybody else have any other questions? Well, I think, Carl, Danny had a slide directly on that, kind of showing you the how the bridge functions is how many users and such. And like I said, I answered earlier in the chat. Maybe you didn't see that because we've had so many chats coming in, but we will provide you a copy of the slide deck from today, so you'll have that for your reference.
So I have the slide where it shows all the capacity with the bridging and stuff like that. So whatever the number is, it's just total across the board. So your 6300, 62 or 6302 just supports a max of 150 audio participants.
And
it would be, you can have them all in one room, or you can have them split across 8 rooms. It's your choice.
cool.
David had a question about plans and servicing and pricing. We'll have a little bit more information on how the plans and servicing works probably in a later presentation. Right now, we're still trying to nail down some details, so I don't want to give you any kind of information that might change later on. Does the rack mount appliances have management screen on the front of the units? I do not believe so. Probably because usually when you have something mounted as a server blade, you usually just set it and forget it and collects cobwebs and dust. So probably not.
All right. Any other questions from anybody?
we did think about the vertical mount rack before, and that didn't go over too well.
Beautiful. Well, I do thank everybody today for taking time out of their day to join us. Definitely a great webinar here. Thank Grandstream for their partnership and taking time out of their day to go through all the details, answer all your questions, and give us a ton of good information. I know everybody's been excited for these units to come out. I hear about it on a daily basis, so really great info to have. And as I said, I will definitely be sharing out all of the information here in the as well as the slide deck from today, so everybody will have that available to them. Again, thank you Grandstream for all of your assistance, and we look forward to doing another one of these soon.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks everybody for showing up today and listening to me spew nonsense. You guys have a good one.
Take care, everyone. Bye now.